We've been at the forefront of automotive engineering innovation from the beginning, from the Model T to the fully autonomous vehicles of today. With the next automotive revolution happening right before our eyes, SAE's quantifiable research and reliable technical documentation are more crucial than ever. Connected vehicles, electrified vehicle technology, and sustainable transportation are just a handful of the areas where SAE International supports those who shape the future for the mobility of tomorrow. With more than a century of experience, a powerful and growing cohort of shared knowledge, backed by a global community of more than 200,000 engineers, technical experts, and volunteers, SAE continues to curate the most reliable and comprehensive collection of engineering resources and consensus-based mobility standards on Earth. Movement defines life. SAE lives to define movement.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this lunch session, SAE Detroit lunch session with the Gamik winners from 2021. With me today in this lunch session will be Chung from ReJoule, Antoine Nardone from Monkey Eye, and Peter Deppe from Kuhmute. Who we will also look into what happened to Biolive, the fourth award winner of the Gamik season 2021. But before we go into the presentations and the update from our award winners, a few points about my background, about Gamik for all the attendees that join us today in this session. First, my name is Fabian Koark. I recently left my position as CEO of INVENSITY in Detroit, and I'm coming to you in this lunch session from Berlin, Germany, where I'm taking a new position in the mobility leadership next week. So it will be soon announced. But I'm still excited to continue my support for GAMIC, the Global Automotive and Mobility Innovation Challenge, an organization and an event that is existing for 14 years. And we just had the chance to open the new season, the 21-2022 season at the Moderator event in September in Detroit, and the applications are open. So for all the innovators on the session and everybody who knows a startup, please give out the information and spread the word. Go on gamikevent.org and you will find all the dates of this season. The application for startups is open until January 10th, 2022, and then we go pretty fast into quarterfinals. Semifinals will be scheduled in March, and the finals are again, hopefully, no, we are pretty certain that the finals will be live in person in the same week as the SAE World Congress WCX 2022. So we are pretty excited to look forward into the gaming season. But also a tradition we started last year with the SAE local section in Detroit is it's time to reconnect with the award winners from this year. So all the competitors came together, the final 12 competitors came together in April this year. And we, not me, but the judges, the gaming judges announced 4 award winners in the finals this year. And today we reconnect and we want to give finalists and the award winners a chance to give the SAE community an update on their business, an update on their let's say deployment roadmap and on their technology. And having that said, I'm happy to introduce and get on this virtual stage to you Steve Chung from ReJoule. So he will join us live here in the session. Before we jump into the first presentation, please, to everybody, don't be shy. Please post your questions, post your remarks, post also an invitation in the chat box. Please reach out to me. I can help with this or that, or I'm very interested, or you have a question. There will be the space for discussion after the presentation, so we will have a little panel discussion. So please don't be shy. And I encourage you to use the chat box to share your comments. Also, or the announcement in prior, if you have to leave the desk for whatever reason, this event is recorded and will be shared afterwards as a video recording over the SAE Detroit YouTube channel. And the link will be shared to whoever was registered to this event. But now enough from my side and enough housecleaning. So I give the word to Stephen. Stephen, how are you today? And I already said I'm dialing in from Berlin. Where do we catch you today?
Hi, Fabian. I'm coming in from Los Angeles.
Wonderful. So it's early for me. It's late for me. It's early for you. So you're probably already through all the coffees and now ready to go. So I'm very excited to get an update from ReJoule and what will be your next steps. The stage is yours.
Thank you. I am on my first coffee. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Perfect.
Okay, great. So yeah, thank you to the Gamik community and SAE for hosting us today. I'm Stephen Chung from ReJoule, and I want to start with a question. Would you buy a used electric vehicle? More and more people will be asking themselves this question in the coming years. And maybe as you're thinking through that, a few more questions come to mind, like how long will that battery last and what's the range? Where do you even go to get that information, and do you trust that source? Another question that comes to mind is, how do you know if this is a good deal or a lousy deal? Today, there aren't too many trusted sources of information when it comes to used batteries. It's really a buyer beware, where the buyer assumes that risk. The result is that whoever owns the electric vehicle may lose out on up to $8,000 in potential unrealized revenue throughout that battery's life. $5,000 from lower residual value compared to an ICE vehicle, and maybe $3,000 in lost repurposing revenue. In a worst case, if a buyer doesn't want to assume that risk, there may be no deal at all. And that's not something that we want. And this is a problem because today there's currently no cost-effective way to know a used battery's health. There are onboard state of health or SOH predictions where an aging model forecasts a usable energy based on degradation done in the lab. But in engineering, we call this an open loop system. They get less and less accurate over time. And in one case, we've seen an onboard algorithm be up to 15% off. That's not good enough. You can always measure a battery's capacity or state of health, but the state of the art today takes 6 to 10 hours. You're essentially charging and discharging that battery. It also requires some specialized heavy equipment, and that's just not practical to do at scale. What we need is a fast measurement to accurately predict battery health, and one that can easily connect to the battery pack or vehicle. And that's exactly what ReJoule is building. Our pack rating tool can plug directly into the DC fast charging port of an EV. We can perform a pack level measurement in less than 5 minutes. And then we can get a state of health prediction within 2% accuracy of that 10-hour test. Now, this can have a profound impact on the industry and add value for stakeholders across the vehicle lifecycle. For OEMs, we can calibrate onboard state of health algorithms and close that open loop system. For dealerships, we can improve serviceability and help with warranty claim examinations. We can help fleets make decisions faster. For resellers and ratings agencies, the technology can help with residual value analysis for a used vehicle sale. And finally, for repurposers, our technology can be used for fast grading. Wow, Stephen, that sounds amazing. How does it work? I'm glad you asked. So our technology is based on electrochemical impedance spectroscopy, or EIS. Basically, we inject sine waves into a battery, and we're able to kind of look inside that battery in ways that an existing battery management system cannot. This allows us to derive some key insights on battery health. Now, EIS, it's a very sensitive measurement, and it's typically only done at the cell level. So think 3 to 4 volts. So ReJoule's technology makes high voltage EIS possible. We have patent pending hardware that is hardware designs that allow us to do EIS for 25 volt battery modules and for 400 volt battery packs. We have patent pending signal processing techniques for real-time measurement, and we're writing some VMS software to help with that. And we're developing some proprietary machine learning based battery health modeling algorithms. And very importantly, this technology can work on any battery. It works on any chemistry, any cell type, from prismatic, cylindrical, or pouch. It can work for different battery pack configurations. As long as we can plug into the battery electrically, our technology will work. So we plan to make money selling gas to the electric vehicle industry, or grading as a service. We're looking at a monthly subscription where the pricing will vary based on how many EV types will be tested and how many tests a customer needs to perform in any given month. We opted to go with a subscription model to give our various customer segments more flexibility and access to our battery models. And this allows us to scale with our customers as their need for grading used EVs continues to increase. And this model also aligns our price to the ongoing value that we're providing to these customers. We're also looking to license our software on a per unit basis for the vehicles, and that helps to make each EV compatible with our hardware. We are really grateful to have been awarded over $4.8 million in non-dilutive funding from the National Science Foundation and from various California Energy Commission grants. This middle one here, it's a CEC grant. It's a project to repurpose used EV batteries for commercial and industrial storage applications. And we're working with some amazing partners here. And that's where our go-to-market strategy starts, with repurposing, or grading a battery that's been taken out of a vehicle already. So in this case, our technology is used for battery grading. In the past year, we've already tested and graded over 1 megawatt hours of batteries of various types. And our technology can already work for battery modules up to 50 volts. We have a pending contract with a number of companies to test their used batteries, and there's potentially over 50 megawatt hours of used batteries to grade in just the next few years. So I'm really excited about that. In the near future, next year, we will be looking to pilot our in-vehicle battery grading technology. And we have we have a pending contract and an LOI from 2 automakers. We're getting a lot of interest from fleet companies, used car resellers, and automotive data companies as well. And that's really helped to drive action on the OEM side. So I want to share with you a case study we did for a repurposing customer. So a bit of context, they had hundreds of used batteries. They didn't know the remaining capacity of any of them. And they wanted us to, they wanted to know if they could sell those batteries for money or use them for warranty replacements. recycling was not an option for them. It cost too much. So they sent over a batch of 100 batteries with almost no information, but there were some labels written in Sharpie, and we kind of categorized them into bad, miscellaneous, new, and none. The first thing we did was cycle the batteries, and this is just the charging and discharge testing, that 6-hour test. And you can see the spread here where a lot of the bad batteries were indeed lower in quality, but then there were some bad batteries labeled bad, but there was actually a lot of capacity in them. And then we trained our models and benchmarked it against the cycling results, and this is our result. So you can see the shape is almost exactly the same. We were able to distinguish the, with the labeling, it was pretty much the same as well. And the thing to remember on the left is 6 hours per battery in testing time. On the right is 5 minutes per battery. Another great thing about this is it only took 2 months to test, train, and model, develop those models with 3 part-time engineers. So it's fast, it's accurate, and the models are easy to train, if you know what you're doing. So we've proven this on multiple battery chemistries already. LMO, a lot of LFP and NMC as well. And how do we compare to the competition? Well, we believe our solution is best positioned to meet the needs of the automotive industry because we can do fast, accurate tests, and our technology is adaptable for high capacity, high voltage batteries. The status quo is cycling, takes many hours. There are some software-based techniques, and that's very scalable, but they rely on lots of data. And we know that more data isn't always good data. And then there's other deep tech solutions. And the unique thing about ReJoule's solution is that no matter the chemistry, no matter the vehicle, as long as we can connect to the battery electrically, our technology will work. And we can't say that about some of our competitors. So this is our team, our executive team. I'm Steven. I'm on various technical standard committees, particularly UL 1974. It's a battery repurposing standard. And previously I've worked at L3 Harris, where I helped design, build, and test power electronic systems for US Navy ships and submarines. Zora is my co-founder. She's the business and finance lead of the company. She has over a decade of experience evaluating business models and looking at sustainable growth for those companies. We also have an amazing group of advisors with decades of automotive experience, battery experience, and just general startup experience. We're growing the team, so we have some open positions. Won't go too much into that, but you can click on that link and look at our job descriptions. So I want to close with a why now. I'll quickly go through this. The first truly mass market EV, the Model 3, came out about 5 years ago today, and we're going to start seeing a lot more used batteries on the road. The next thing is extended producer responsibility, EPR. This is potentially going to change a lot of automakers' business models, and it's catching on in Europe, and people in California are starting to look at this as well. And finally, standards and regulations are finally catching up to the technology. And so in the coming years, we're going to see SAE and many other standards organizations requiring some sort of battery durability for electric vehicles. So that's going to be very important in the coming years. And thank you so much. Sorry I went a little bit over. Happy to answer questions later.
Thank you, Steven. Before I let you go here, maybe one short question. With this interesting technology, I would assume, I mean, when we look into metro areas like Shanghai, Shanghai was so early in the EV deployment, in scooters, in bikes, in vehicles. I mean, they are already in the next cycle time. Is your phone ringing? Is that here bring us your algorithm. We have so many batteries just kind of on the scrap yard, and we have to do something with it. Do you get any of these calls?
Yes, we have gotten calls, and I won't disclose too much there. And we are certainly looking at China and Asia as a massive market. What we're trying to do right now is to really focus our technology locally for now, and we can do some pilot projects before we expand internationally. But we are getting calls from all around the world.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Let's reconnect later for a few more questions. Now I'll let you go for a minute, and I would like to bring on this virtual stage Peter Deppe from Kuhmute. So we are staying in the same space in the e-mobility, electric vehicle space, but when we look into the product life cycle, we are a little bit moving backwards. We are moving backwards in the product life cycle from the recycling, from the second life into the first life, into charging of batteries, especially for micromobility. And our judges thought Kuhmute is really a strong startup in the mobility space, bringing something new to the table. And let's see if they were right. So the stage is yours, Peter.
Thank you, Fabian, and thank you for the SAE Detroit Section for having us on today. My name is Peter Deppe, co-founder, CEO here at Kuhmute, based in Flint, Michigan. And hopefully you can see the screen in front of you. But what we do here is we park and charge literally anything smaller than a car from our universal charging network, our product, the Kuhmute Charging Hub. So looking at micromobility, which covers a wide range of vehicle form factors and types, as you can maybe see in the virtual background behind me, from wheelchairs to delivery robots and your more traditional scooters and e-bikes, it's been a very busy market in terms of investment and growth. Although with all of this growth, there still are many issues that plague this industry with operations of the ride shares of shared fleets that you probably see in your own city. And then also, where do you go when you have your personally owned vehicle to park and charge that? So jumping into some of the issues, again, like I mentioned, rideshares struggle with unit economics on the operation side. They literally turn to random people, aka the gig economy, to go around in trucks and vans to collect the scooters every night, charge them in their own homes or sometimes in a warehouse, and then return them out in the morning. And you would think for micromobility and the eco-conscious industry that we are, why would you have a way that introduces more congestion on the streets and using gas-powered cars to move these micro electric vehicles around? Also, cities themselves hate scooter clutter. It's a safety hazard, and it looks just aesthetically not pleasing if you're trying to fit into a certain city. And then also, there's no current infrastructure for delivery robots. We see, due to COVID and having the human equation pulled out to have touchless delivery as that's becoming more popular, there's no infrastructure to support these robots in between trips to keep them having a higher uptime, again, providing that better experience around optimization of unit economics. And then, like I mentioned earlier, there's no universal charging network besides us for all of micromobility, regardless of it being a shared fleet or personally owned, just like the full-size EV market has available to them. So we solve all of these issues with one simple yet complex product. So we lower charging costs by having on-street parking and charging for both shared fleets, and then having it available for personally owned vehicles as well. And this provides organization and security in a form factor that is agnostic to the different vehicles that make up the micromobility industry. Ours is the only option that has variable charging on board. Most of our competitors, you'll find they're just sourcing and not really thinking about the problem. Ours is flexible enough because we've taken the steps to design this from the ground up. The charging hub we offer comes in a few different sizes or configurations. The one you see on the screen here is our single 3-port hub. If you can see the small virtual background behind me, that's a double 3-port hub that fits 6 vehicles. And we also have a triple and a few other sizes as well. And it's built to be very robust, and we're excited to say it's built right here in Flint, Michigan. The different groups that we work with are both public and private, but our main areas are corporate campuses, university campuses, apartments, hotels, office spaces, and we are working more and more directly with cities, public transit, and mobility hubs as they are seeing the immediate benefits to having an agnostic charging network rather than the old days of, you know, a bike share having their own station for their own bikes. Now it's seen as having an inclusive charging network. And then also something interesting, micromobility is super flexible and we can actually work indoors as well in airports, convention centers, and malls with, you know, accessible, focused wheelchairs and then delivery robots for inside delivery. Just talking about a little bit about the charging hub, there's two different ways to install it. The first is our standard installation, and you can think of this more along the lines of installing a car charger, if you will, like a level 2, where it's bolted to the ground, the power is routed underground and directly into the hub, so there's no exposed cables. And this is great for a more public, higher foot traffic area. Our most popular option is actually the freestanding one, though, where this is a simple, flexible drop plug and play option where you simply set it on any flat concrete surface, you plug it into an existing wall outlet. We do recommend you use a lockable outlet box, but other than that, super easy to get up and running and parking and charging some micromobility in your area. We do have a mobile platform for managing your charging hubs, and this is an Android iOS app that allows you to share access with technicians, name your hub, configure the hourly rates that you would make off of parking and charging these vehicles. And we're really trying to build out the Tesla supercharging network for micromobility. And the way that all of these different vehicles, regardless of form factor, are able to work with our charging hub is the fact that we have a standard interface for both locking and charging at the hub. This is what we call the vehicle adapter, and we design it for each specific make and model of vehicle. And roughly, I believe we currently support about 15 different vehicles with a few more on the way. Here's an example of just 9 of them. And again, it's anything from your stereotypical e-scooter, e-bike for shared fleets, personally owned, as well as some really great options in the accessibility space, like I mentioned, for wheelchairs, and then delivery with cargo bikes, delivery robots, and more. On the other side, when you have an adapter, you can use the same mobile app to see what charging hubs are in your area and park and charge your personally owned vehicle. As for the shared fleets, they integrate with our API. So that way, when they scan the QR code, for example, on top of the scooter or bike, the charging hub understands which system of software to speak to and releases the vehicle from the hub so that way the rider can begin their rental and go on their way. Looking at our competition, like I mentioned earlier, they really haven't thought out the problem and thought it all the way through. And we're the only one, like I mentioned, with universal charging that's form factor agnostic for both shared fleet and personally owned support with the added security of a physical lock that's integrated into the charging solution itself. One of the points we always like to make a note of is we're based in Flint, Michigan, and we do a lot, or all of our assembly, most of our manufacturing right here. The outer shell of the hub is actually made about 40 minutes from here with one of our partners, and really excited to have this being built right here in a community that is known as the Vehicle City, and we're hoping it's known in the future as Mobility City shortly after we do some more launching in this area. So appreciate your time. Thank you all for listening in today, and looking forward to answering any additional questions that come in the Q&A portion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Before I let you go, also an initial question to you. I think this is an exciting opportunity, especially when I'm thinking about launching electric bike delivery system. Because then I want to have these electric bikes on the road, maybe not 24/7, but for sure 12 hours a day. And then I'm running out of charge. You know? And it would be great to charge my electric bike while I go on lunch break or whatsoever. What's my best bet? What is the first city where I can see this kind of charging infrastructure in a deployment that ready for use? What's my best bet?
Sure. So right now we're mainly in the US and Canada with a few projects coming up over in the UK, most likely early next year. But for right now, we are in several cities here in Michigan, Illinois, Arizona, soon to be California, Washington State, Wisconsin, New York, and I think there's one other that I'm missing off the top of my head. But we'll have a larger charging network as time goes on, and we actually shipped our first hubs to Canada a few weeks ago as well. So we're growing out the whole North American network currently.
That sounds already very busy. Thank you so much. We will have a little bit more discussion later on. Let's bring the next speaker on stage, Antoine. Antoine Nardone from Monk AI, calling in, I think, not out of the US. So where do we catch you today?
Yeah, I'm in Paris right now.
Wonderful. I hope it's a nice fall day. Or it has been a nice fall day.
Yeah, it's been a nice day. Yeah,
we're happy to have you on stage here. So the stage is yours. Please, very excited to hear more about Monk AI and the current roadmap.
Thank you, Fabian. Thank you, everyone, for being here. That's really great to catch up, let's say, and show you the latest development of Monk. So very quickly, Monk is an AI-powered visual inspection solution. We are a 2 years old company, and when we came last year to the Gamik competition, we were expanding at the time in the North America for the first time. And now we have been developing our solution and expanding it worldwide. So a lot of exciting news to share. To put a little context here, so we are AI-powered inspection. So what we do is that we detect damages, we detect visual aspects on vehicles based on images, based on photos, videos, and we output any insights that we can get. So today we are 75% of the team is working on the R&D. So we are really tech focused, and we are pushing towards the inspections, and we are always pushing the state of the art, which is getting more and more information based on pictures. So basically, what we do is that we cover the full life cycle of a vehicle. So from out of the factory to the recycling stage. You can see here on this slide a few different sectors that we are transforming from the finished vehicle logistics to the recycling. So we have partners, around like 16 partners now. And 2 in the US, so used vehicle auction companies that are very, very important, and that we are helping on the inspection side. We also have insurance, our first insurance partners in Europe, being Triglav and Shift, which we are helping with the claims. So claims appraisal and claims management. And also still we grew the business with OEMs, mobility companies, and remarketing companies. So basically, for those who don't know about us, so we are a software company. We are really focusing on the software to be scalable, of course, and so we push the mobile and the smartphone pictures, and we are quite flexible on the way of analyzing pictures, which is actually we are agnostic of the picture source. So we work from web app, we can work from an app, we have a SDK as well, and we can just connect the API to our partners. And finally, everything is tailor-made, which is quite important, since each partner, as you saw early on the slide, in each sector has very different use cases, very different data typology, and so we calibrate the AI for each partner, and the model are personalized and customized. even though the general model is improving constantly, since we are doing continuous learning with the AI to make sure that we always push the state of the art. So basically, we have here on the left a raw image. On the second column, we have the second step, which is very important, which is a compliance step. So basically, our AI will detect if the vehicle is a vehicle at first, and then if it's not too close, if it's not too zoom, if it's not too blurry, and so we'll make sure it's compliant. Once the AI has agreed to process the image, then it goes to the car part segmentation. So here we are dividing the car in like 54 parts in average. And what's important is that we are agnostic to the model. So we haven't seen the cars in models before. We can work with brand new cars that are being launched today. The AI will still understand where are the doors and the bumpers. So once we have verified the quality of the image, segmented the different parts, then we do the damage detection. And the damage detection is actually at the pixel level. So we draw a polygon around the damage, and that's how we can assess also of the severity. And then we can get from all of those information, all of these outputs, we can get a pricing, and we can get repair action. Just for you to see how it works, this is connected to our AI system. So our partners constantly send me images to test the AI. And so what happened is that we can process them into the AI. So as you can see here, there's the part segmentation, the damage detection. So whatever the different angles, and the AI will still understand where it is around the car, and will draw a polygon around the damage. So there are plenty of use cases, of course, to accelerate processes, to bring transparency and trust, but also to standardize process, wherever the country, the operator, or the user of the AI. So basically, we have different outputs that we can offer to our partners. So the damage identification, classification, of course, but also the severity assessment, the repair action. So for each part, we can tell if it needs to be repaired or replaced, which has a lot of impact in the mobility industry as well. And then the repair cost estimates, which is an estimation that we can get from the image. And so either we go to the the dollar level by requesting the price of a specific part from databases like GT Motive in Europe, Mitchell subsidiary. Or otherwise, we can have like a statistical and machine learning approach of estimating the closest price without having the exact reference of the part. One of the challenge during the year, and one of the most important thing that we've did during the year, was to create and launch a product to control the way the pictures are taken, which was very, very important, because as you might know, AI needs to be in good condition to be powerful, to bring value to our partners. So what happened is that we had to create this intelligent tool where we do the compliance inside the product, and then we can guide the user, and where any operator, any user can view the reports on the vehicle, can add, delete, modify damages. So we want a collaboration between the AI and the machine. We don't want only the machine to decide, and we want both parties to be very aligned at the end. And so we have like 100% stable reports. So the goal is to mix digitization with a nice, smooth experience in an app, in an SDK, plus the automation, where we will automate between 80 to 95% of the process, and the user just has to confirm that there is really a damage, or to add damage if it was not detected. And then a lot of R&D happened on the visual aspects. So we worked on the rims, so we can tell about the quality, the material of the rim. We can recognize also the brand, the model, and the colors of the vehicles. And still, we push the OCR reading. So, for example, to be able to read instantly the VIN number, which is quite annoying to enter for operators, and of course the license plate. Just to give you a little context about the usage in the US, for example, and in Canada, we work with so HGreg. HGreg, as you might know, is an auction company, a remarketing company. And so we're helping them directly by bringing the SDK to their operators. And the goal is to analyze much more vehicles on large parking lots and to process hundreds of vehicles per day or per month. And to get them in the market faster, save time in the inspections, and also to disclose every kind of damage. So the impact is huge because whenever you miss a damage, normally, I mean, a human can miss damage. So the goal is here to have a second check with the AI and to potentially buy better the vehicles since you disclosed everything. Another case that was completely new from last year and that we entered the market, it was the salvage auctions, the salvage and recycling. So basically we realized that we can analyze vehicles that are severely damaged. And so we can help both auction marketplaces, salvage marketplaces, and recyclers by detecting if there are certain parts that they are interested in, like the rims, like the catalytic converters, like some specific parts of the vehicle. And if we detect them, then we can adjust the offer for the C2B vehicle acquisition, but also for helping the operators to bid on IAA or Koark marketplaces, for example, which has a lot of impact on the shortlisting of vehicles. Another case, which you might be familiar with, and I think that's the most intuitive to understand, is really the detection of damage before and after a location, a rental, sorry. And so basically that's what we do with GetAround, which is like a peer-to-peer company, car sharing company. So we help them analyze the vehicle before and after, and also to process the claims. So we can estimate and appraise the cost of each claim, and so help them in the process to process them faster. And finally, just to give you context about how it works and how we implement the solution, it's not plug and play. It's AI, and so we always have like calibration step. Then which can last a few months, where we calibrate the AI, we put everything in order to launch the production, and then we have the production launch, and then the constant innovation on R&D. And so what I can disclose already about what we're working on is, of course, the video, because 5G is arriving everywhere in Europe and the US, and so the capacity of the servers are much higher, and the bandwidth will be much better. And also the 3D modeling of each vehicle to have exact XYZ coordinates of damage and to be even more precise than we are today. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Antoine, for the update. I will save my initial question for our discussion later. And because we have a presentation number 4 today. So Biolive also a winner of this season, but Duygu, Yilmaz was not able to join us today in person. So we were able to pre-record a little update for Biolive, exciting technology more on the material side of things. And I hope we have the chance to play that video here today before we go into our little panel discussion.
Hello, my name is Duygu. I'm CEO and co-founder of Biolive.
At Biolive, we produce bioplastic raw material from the olive industry's West olive pits. Our story began when my father swallowed olive seeds, thinking that it is good for his digestion. In 2016, we decided to go after this behavior and started to research with my classmates. We actually set up a laboratory in one of our co-founders' house. During the research process, we discovered a new biopolymer structure using these wastes. After long days and nights, we invented bioplastic production from olive pits. Then we took an investment from one of the largest companies in Turkey and established Biolive. So why are we doing this? Plastics are increasingly used in the automotive industry in order to make vehicles more lightweight. Petroleum-based plastics release toxic material into the environment and cause pollution. To prevent these effects, governments started to apply regulations. On the other hand, we have bioplastics produced from alternative resources. However, they are more expensive, they have lower strength and durability properties, and most importantly, most of them are produced from food-borne resources, which is not a complete solution for governments and companies. As Biolive, a biotechnology enterprise that designs and develops bio-based raw material production, we have an eco-friendly solution. Our products are the first to market, friendly to human health, help to decrease carbon emission in a sustainable way, and almost as cost-effective as petroleum-based plastics due to putting a waste into use. When we take a closer look to our process, we first collect olive pits, which is present as a waste up to 6 million tons on the planet. Then we powder seeds and turn them into bioplastic raw material with an international patented special polymerization process. This is where the magic happens. Finally, we produce granules by blending with other plastics. In addition to bioplastic raw material for car parts, we also produce plant-based leather for vehicle seats using these granules and other organic wastes. Our invention is not a filler, but a new type of biopolymer. The whole process is our patented designs and won a gold medal prize and an international fair. Biopura is our main raw material, which is the first in the world. We adapt this material for both plastic and leather industries. We have different end products. Some of them are Biopipe, Biolive, Biohype, and Bioleather. In addition to our international patents, we have 5 trademark registration for our products. Our products are certified by USDA Biopreferred Program, FDA, REACH and DINCERTICO. We have completed all our certifications, so we are ready for the United States and European markets. We are the first company to get a USDA certificate in Turkey. This certificate proves the greenness of our product. We are already in the market in different industries such as electronics, automotive, food packaging, textile, and medical. Until now, we produced samples for many global brands in Europe and America. Some of these are buttons for Buffy New York, medical sector products for Difaş and Bıçakçılar, electronic components for Vestel, and food packaging for Anadolu Efes and Promedia. Studies on eco-friendly products in the automotive industry are very important and increasing, especially in the United States and European markets. Companies started to apply sustainable materials including plastic parts and leather. These are some of the samples we have done with various companies for automotive interior parts and panels, all produced from Biolive raw material. Since the density of our products is lower than our competitors, we reduce the amount of petroleum-based plastic used while reducing the weight. In addition, we have positive contribution to energy consumption due to weight reduction. Our new invention 100% vegan and plant-based leather produced from olive pits and various non-food waste can be used in the automotive industry. Photos of our first bio-leather products. It is a leather invention with the highest plant-based thread in the world, also having some better properties such as higher degree of flammability compared to its competitors. Some sample products produced by our customers using our material. Automotive compatibility, recyclability, heat deflection, use of non-food resources and cost effectiveness. These combined are some of the aspects that put us ahead of our competitors. When we have a look at the bioplastics market, we see that bioplastic usage is less than 1% of the total plastic market and its market size is $30 billion. It is assumed that the bioplastics market will reach up to 40% of the total plastic market until 2030, creating a $324 billion market. We have two different revenue generation models. One is the direct sales of raw material and the other is the licensing of our technology. In our production, the whole process from raw material to end user is compatible with the circular economy. We achieve 11 out of 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and owing to that, Biolive was selected to Accelerator 2030 by UNDP and we presented Biolive to the UN in Switzerland. We have three co-founders. I am a food engineer, Emin is a material engineer, and Fatih is a molecular biologist. Nida is a food engineer, Anıl is a polymer engineer, and Seçkin is an industrial engineer. We have financial, academic, and production advisors. Also, we have sales partner, Global Ecoplastics based in Switzerland and the US. Biolive was awarded more than 30 awards globally. We attended a training by Cornell and the University of Binghamton. I was chosen among the most successful 10 young people in the world by GCI and also chosen as the woman entrepreneur in Turkey. A few of other significant awards were first prize winner in the Clusters Forum Bioplastic Challenge in Switzerland and the first prize winner in Global Clinic Innovation Program's Advanced Material category in LA. We were awarded by Mercedes and Automotive Exporters of Turkey. We also had many appearances on international media. BBC also published a documentary on Biolive. We are here because we need international support for recruitment, legal consultancy, and access to American market. There is no planet B. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
So, sadly, Biolive is not with us today with the representatives. Otherwise, I would have loved to ask the question if this is not an interesting second income for the Michigan cherry farmers. But I will hold on to that question and ask that at a later time. So now I'd like to welcome all speakers from today back on our virtual stage that the SAE section in Detroit prepared so well. Before I go into the one or other question for the startup representatives here, I want to answer one question that came from the audience, and I think therefore I have to share my screen. And there was the question coming up, is Gamik a free competition? And it certainly is. So it is fairly easy. So for everybody who's interested, you just have to go on the website and don't be confused. There's still, it says applications open until January 10th, 2021, it should be 2022. change that later today. But then there's really an apply here button, and it guides you directly to where you can, to the application form. We're using our partner website from F6S. So you list your company and your background, and there are a few simple questions you can fill out. So it is pretty straightforward. So already addressing this question. But let's talk about a few questions that came up to my mind, and I wanted to reconnect with the presentation from Monk AI. And Antoine, you said it in your kind of last slide with, I think, get around. I was so surprised that in your roadmap, we're not seeing the big rental car companies that do the whole like check in, check out, check of dents and scratches. Why is it so difficult to start a project with one of the big international rental car companies? Maybe you can say something about that.
Sure, that's a very good question. And actually, the momentum that we saw this year was crazy about the used vehicles, and so naturally I think we oriented our discussions to auctions company, to used vehicle C2B acquisition, and that's where we got the most traction. But of course, we do not put aside the mobility use case. So this was more a strategic reason, also because as you know, last year the big rental companies suffered a lot, so they were not quite inclined to start new pilots and invest in R&D and invest in AI. And the last reason is more a technical reason. It's product wise, we are releasing the 3D modeling of the vehicles to have the exact coordinates in XYZ in 3D, to say exactly if this was the same exact scratch before and after a rental or usage. And this will be really the next level analysis. And so that's how we will be able to automate every check-in versus checkout. And this is something that we're releasing now. So strategically, we will go in the rental business in the next phase.
Thank you, Antoine. Then maybe a question, especially to Stephen, maybe to all, but when we look into the challenges that every startup, especially in the mobility space, we have a good amount of integration. No, we have with micromobility, with the integration with the city and with the network provider, with ReJoule. We have the integration in the that is sometimes battery pack and chemistry specific. So when we look into these, like maybe 4 different areas, no, technology and solution. Funding and finance, business development, and outreach to customers, or is it something else? Where do you see the biggest challenge to now accelerate and grow further? Or I mean, you already invited people to apply for a position, or is it the talent market?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges. I'd say the two of the biggest ones are always working with the customers and trying to really understand, especially when you're talking to a major corporation, where that person or where that group sits in the organization and what kind of decision-making abilities that group may have, and really trying to understand the value you're bringing to them versus just technology being, very cool. So I think that's always been a big challenge. And then getting from a working solution to going through contracts and legal, all that is a process, and that's always a challenge. Another thing is the hiring. We did mention we're aggressively hiring right now, and in this market, it's very difficult to find the talented engineers. And it's difficult to compete sometimes with some bigger companies.
Yeah, I can see that. Our little lunch session in Eastern time comes to an end. Before we close, last question or last invitation to you, and then we will go around the room, and we start with Peter. If you have one wish, one free wish, and you can address that to the GAMIC SAE Global Mobility community, what kind of support, what kind of suggestion, what kind of contact would be helpful for you in the days, in the last 4 weeks of 2021?
Sure. And apologies for the background noise. We're in the manufacturing space, so you might hear some saws going off. Apologies on that. But one thing we would love to address alongside of the SAE Detroit section is, and again, my email is peter@kuhmute.com. So feel free to reach out there to us or see our website, www.kuhmute.com. That's KUHMUTE. But we would love to get in touch to discuss micromobility charging and locking standards, as I know that's been somewhat of a hot topic going forward. As the EV market has standards, the micromobility industry seems to lack quite a few. So would love to be part of that journey to create a better standard, and then ultimately more people choosing micromobility. Thank you.
Antoine, one wish. If you have one wish to the SAE and mobility and gaming community, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I think my wish is to see our discussions with the great partners that we have in the US concretize into production launch, because for us it would be an amazing milestone. We're talking about millions of inspections per year. And so if we can scale the solution into the real life and in production at the full capacity, that would be amazing. That would be really the next step.
I bet. Stephen, closing remarks from
Yeah.
your side?
Yeah, I think Peter mentioned some charging standards in micromobility, and similarly for us, we're trying to be a part of the standards, particularly with SAE, on developing the charging network standards, because I think that's where our product can really, that's kind of the next big step for us. So I'd love to talk to more people at SAE about those standards. Perfect.
Then we, as speakers, I think can thank the SAE Detroit section for hosting us today. Stay tuned, visit our website, gamicevent.org, and go on to, especially go onto the LinkedIn page of GAMIC. You will find always the news. You will be able to also add yourself to our newsletter, always holds interesting updates. And I hope to see you all soon in the next event, hopefully also live and in person with shaking hands and everything. Stay safe and best success to all of you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.